started as pure curiosity.
Yeah. The 23-year-old added that he started using the drugs out of curiosity, and doing so led to his understanding of what ego was for the first time.
It was always in my head talking, telling me what I was and what I wasn't, and for the first time I had like a ego dissolution where I was like, that was the moment that really changed me. You get to a place in your life where you're blocked by something, whether it's a trauma, whether it's your emotions, your ego, not being able to express yourself, and then I feel like psychedelics are a way to tear down that wall and see what's beyond it. Doing it guided with people that are professionals, I feel like really increases the chances of having.
So do you want to hear? Oh, really? See, my parents never gave me this song.
Okay.
So why don't you give me this?
I feel uncomfortable right now.
Oh.
Why do you want to know this from a 15-year-old boy? That's pretty weird.
Alright, young brother, everything's good? Selling out arenas and everything? Starting to act different, huh? You ain't been calling me and hanging out the way we used to hang out.
Tell me the story about how Puffy wanted to fight Will Smith over Jennifer Lopez.
Oh, man. We were at a birthday party that I think either Matt Damien was giving for Ben Affleck. It was just a little gathering. It was at the Four Seasons. Will Smith and his sister and her husband, we were all sitting on this side of the room. Matt Damien, Ben Affleck, Jennifer Lopez, Puff, Will Smith, and Jada that was sitting on the other side of the room. So I know Puff so well that he stood up. When he stood up, he walked and did his own some kind of way, like, and then he was like this, like, and I went over towards him. I know to go over there towards him. So I go over towards him, and he said to me, he said, yo, I think Will and Jada is trying to scoop up Jennifer. I want you to stay close, because I'm a snuffer. I said to myself, Will Smith gonna beat the shit out you. No, Puff the scrap now. But I don't think he could beat Will Smith. You know what I'm saying? Well, he can scrap. You know what I'm saying? So then, he said that shit. So, I didn't go back over there where Will Smith's sister and her husband was. I stayed about, if he snuffed Will, I could move slow enough that Will could probably get 2 or 3 punches back in. Yeah, but that shit was funny. He thought that Jada and Will was coming on too strong to Jennifer, making advances.
Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy. They're having the times of their lives, like where we hanging out and what we doing. We can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream.
It's hard for me being that young and being in the industry and not knowing where to turn, and everyone, telling me they love me and, just turn their back on you in a second. So.
They grew up together and, they loved each other, but they never had that, they never had a relationship, but they had come into that age where now that was a part.
You've heard the rumors. You've seen the headlines. But the truth behind Justin Bieber and Jaden Smith's rise? It's far darker and far stranger than anyone realized. From the moment they were thrust into the spotlight, these two were more than just teen sensations. They were caught in a machine, an entertainment system fueled by influence, secrecy, and control that on the surface, it looked like a dream, fame, fortune, and the music industry's most powerful figures mentoring them. But behind the scenes, it was something much more calculated. The late-night meetings, the mentorships that felt more like manipulation, the unspoken rules, all kept them tethered to a network of people with immense power. And at the center of this circle were names that carry serious weight: Diddy, Clive Davis, and yes, even Will Smith. Will wasn't just Jaden's father. According to emerging accounts, he was deeply involved in this intricate web of influence. The connections were more than casual friendships, they were strategic. Decisions that seemed like guidance often came with strings attached. Success came with expectations, and the cost of defiance was carefully managed silence. For years, the industry excused this as Hollywood being Hollywood. But now, the patterns are undeniable. Justin and Jaden's music, interviews, and cryptic social media posts were all breadcrumbs, hinting at the frustration and control they experienced. The dots are now connecting, revealing a system that preyed on young talent, manipulated their careers, and masked exploitation with fame and opportunity. Diddy and Clive Davis, long seen as gatekeepers, were part of a network that ensured the young stars remained within the circle, often without understanding the full scope of what they were entangled in. This isn't simply about bad decisions, blurred boundaries, or celebrity gossip. It's about power, a calculated structure where youth was exploited, voices were silenced, and compliance was rewarded with career advancement. Fame became bait. Silence became currency. And the cost was often invisible to the public, hidden behind red carpets and hit records. Now, the silence is breaking. Justin and Jaden aren't just hinting anymore, they're speaking out. The story that emerges is unsettling: a culture that used influence to manipulate, mentorship to control, and privilege to obscure. For anyone watching closely, this is more than an exposé, it's a cautionary tale about how young talent can be trapped in a web of power disguised as opportunity. By revisiting their childhoods and careers, it becomes clear, these two artists' lives were never ordinary. The fame, the tours, the mentors, it was all part of a system designed to keep them in line. And as the pieces fall into place, it's impossible to ignore just how deep and deliberate the control was. This is not just a story about celebrity, it's a story about manipulation, secrecy, and the hidden costs of being a child in the entertainment machine.
Let's go.
Wherever you want to go.
So check this out, yo. Justin, you ever seen the movie 48 Hours? Right now, he's having 48 hours. As soon as you turn 16, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna let you rock this every time. Right? I'm like, yeah, this will be yours. So, it's a little dusty, you know. First shot.
They were thrown into the industry's deepest waters long before they even knew how to swim. Justin's connection to Diddy has long been whispered about, raised eyebrows, unanswered questions, but Jaden's link has always felt murkier. Look closer, though, and the pieces are there. The connection between Diddy and the Smith family isn't random, it's rooted in years of history, power games, and personal tension most people never noticed. Rewind to the early 2000s, the height of celebrity culture. Every move of the entertainment elite was scrutinized. At that time, Diddy and Jennifer Lopez were the ultimate power couple: red carpets, paparazzi chaos, magazine covers, they were untouchable. But behind the glitz, cracks were forming. Their relationship was explosive, fueled by attention, egos, and constant scrutiny. Enter Will and Jada Smith. Already one of the biggest star couples in the world, they were respected, ambitious, and quietly powerful. For reasons that remain partially unclear, Diddy saw them as a threat, believing the Smiths had their sights on J-Lo, whether personally, professionally, or somewhere in between. Rumors began to swirl that Will and Jada were getting too close to Jennifer Lopez, and Diddy wasn't having it. The tension escalated to the point where whispers suggested Diddy wanted a confrontation with Will Smith, not figuratively, but face to face. A scene so explosive, you'd barely believe it if it weren't corroborated by Puffy's former bodyguard, Gene Deal. This is the hidden backdrop to Justin and Jaden's early careers, a web of influence, rivalry, and complicated adult dynamics that they were pulled into before they could even comprehend it. The industry wasn't just watching them grow, it was manipulating, protecting, and controlling them, all while power games played out at the very top.
Tell me the story about how Puffy wanted to fight Will Smith over Jennifer Lopez.
Oh man. We were at a birthday party that I think either Matt Damien was giving for Ben Affleck. It was just a little gathering. It was at the Four Seasons. Will Smith and his sister and her husband, we were all sitting on this side of the room. Matt Damien, Ben Affleck, Jennifer Lopez, Puff, Will Smith, and Jada that was sitting on the other side of the room. So I know Puff so well that he stood up. When he stood up, he walked and did his own some kind of way, like, and then he was like this, like I went over towards him. I know to go over there towards him. So I go over towards him, and he said to me, he said, yo, I think Will and Jada is trying to scoop up Jennifer. I want you to stay close, because I'm a snuffer. I said to myself, Will Smith gonna beat the shit out you. Now, Puff the scrap now, but I don't think he could beat Will Smith. You know what I'm saying? Well, he can scrap. You know what I'm saying? So then he said that. So I didn't go back over there where Will Smith's sister and her husband was. I stayed about, if he snuffed Will, I could move slow enough that Will could probably get 2 or 3 punches back in. Yeah, but that shit was funny. He thought that Jada and Will was coming on too strong to Jennifer, making advances.
Diddy was angry, paranoid, and fiercely territorial. In his mind, Will and Jada weren't just being friendly with his girlfriend, they were stepping into his world, challenging his territory. And anyone who knows Diddy knows he doesn't tolerate that. Whether in music, business, or personal life, he doesn't forget slights, and he doesn't forgive easily. When he feels disrespected, he doesn't just let it slide. And now, fast forward a few years. Will and Jada's son, Jaden, begins moving through the same industry pipelines. He's entering circles Diddy has long controlled. Do you really think Diddy could have kept it strictly professional? Or was this an opportunity to gain the upper hand, to exert influence over the next generation? Jaden didn't stumble into Diddy's orbit by accident. That connection was curated, managed, and allowed to happen. It placed Jaden in a position where he could be guided, influenced, or even manipulated, not just as a young artist under Diddy's wing, but as the son of people with whom Diddy had a complicated, unresolved history. The energy surrounding their interactions was never neutral. Diddy carried the baggage, Jaden was too young to fully grasp it. This is where things start to get darker. When Justin Bieber speaks about his experiences around Diddy, the tone changes. The easy smile fades. Behind his words, there's pain, a recognition that those years weren't simply about career growth. They were about control, access, and power. And when Jaden entered that same space, the questions become unavoidable. Why was Diddy suddenly close to both of these boys? Why were they drawn into his orbit at such vulnerable ages? It begins to look less like mentorship and more like strategy, a long game, a subtle settling of old scores, with the next generation as the pawns. Will and Jada may have believed they were keeping Jaden safe, but the people they allowed into his world may have led him straight into the hands of someone who had never forgotten past grievances. This isn't mere celebrity gossip. It's a glimpse into how power operates behind the scenes, how grudges persist, and how young talent can get caught in their fallout. Look closer, and a pattern emerges, one that connects the trajectories of Justin Bieber, Jaden Smith, and the influential figures around them. That Justin's rise, often attributed to Usher, is a prime example. While many praise Usher for discovering him and giving him a shot, hindsight raises questions about what that mentorship truly entailed. Usher, too, was one of the first young artists to come under Diddy's influence, a reminder that these relationships were never just about opportunity. They were about guidance, control, and shaping the paths of those entering a world governed by power, influence, and unspoken rules. Once you start to see the full picture, it's hard to ignore. These connections, far from coincidental, reveal a system where access and authority define the careers of the young, and where the shadows of past conflicts reach far into the present.
brother right here from day one. We used to wake up and, damn, pause, but like, that's not, back in the days when he was like 10 and I was a little.
Very quickly, Justin Bieber found himself in Diddy's hands, literally. He was attending parties with grown men, staying at Diddy's house, and being passed around the industry like a shiny new toy, not a teenage boy. And the question that has always lingered is, why? Why would Usher, his supposed mentor, guide Justin into an environment like that? What was really happening behind those doors, and who was benefiting from it? Now, those same questions are starting to circle around Jaden Smith. If Justin was essentially handed to Diddy by Usher, then who handed over Jaden? Rumors point to none other than his own father, Will Smith. At first, it sounds outrageous, but the more you examine the timeline and the players involved, the more sense it makes. Will wasn't just an actor, he was deeply embedded in the entertainment world. He knew the real power, he understood the game, and many believe he wasn't just navigating the industry, he was actively participating in it, playing his role in keeping the machine running. Some whispers go even further, suggesting that Will didn't simply allow Jaden into Diddy's circle, he delivered him. The dynamic here is different. This wasn't a casual mentorship or a business opportunity, it was calculated. A transaction of sorts, placing Jaden directly in the hands of someone with a long history of controlling and exploiting young talent. Will had known Diddy for years, ran in the same circles, attended the same parties, smiled for the same photos. There's no way he didn't understand the environment he was sending his son into, and yet, Jaden ended up in the same world that swallowed Justin, a world that, as more people are realizing, wasn't about opportunity. It was about control, grooming, and access. This isn't just a theory, it's a repeating pattern. First Justin, then Jaden. Two boys from powerful families, both thrust into fame too early, both linked to Diddy, both surrounded by adults who should have been protecting them, but instead, they were positioned, offered up. The trail starts to look intentional, and if Jada and Will were as close to Diddy as rumors suggest, if she truly understood how this system operated, then handing Jaden over wasn't an accident. It was a choice, one that may have altered the course of his life entirely. What happened to Justin didn't stay with Justin, it repeated. And perhaps, the parents were never mere bystanders, they may have been participants in the system from the start. To understand how Jaden ended up in Diddy's orbit, you have to look inside his own home. Will and Jada's marriage, often portrayed as Hollywood royalty, smiling on red carpets and preaching empowerment and family values, was far from perfect behind closed doors. Chaos, tension, and private struggles created a backdrop that allowed this system of influence to reach in and shape the paths of their children.
You cannot make a person happy. And I thought that was a real deep idea. You can make a person smile, you can make a person feel good, you can make a person laugh, but whether or not a person is happy is deeply and totally and utterly out of your control.
The cracks were always visible, rumors of infidelity, separations, and unconventional arrangements trailed the couple for years. Jada never denied them, she leaned into the narrative. Through interviews and Red Table Talk confessions, she revealed a marriage far more complex than conventional. She openly admitted to an entanglement with August Alsina, a much younger man, all while remaining married to Will.
I were going through a very difficult time.
Yeah.
And we decided...
I was done with your ass.
Yeah, you kicked me to the curb.
I was done with you.
Yeah.
Marriages have that, though. Marriages have that.
Yeah, we broke up.
And then what did you do, Jada?
Well, I think from there, as time went on, I got into a different kind of entanglement with August.
That single word, entanglement, spoke volumes. Rumors suggest Jada didn't merely look the other way regarding Jaden's exposure to powerful influences, she and Will may have actively guided him into that world themselves.
Bisexual, they do weird things in their house, and young men have left their house screaming to get away from them and their mental.
Rumors suggest she introduced her son to psychedelic drugs, not as a moment of rebellion, but as a deliberate decision. She didn't just condone it, she publicly celebrated his use of substances like mushrooms as a healing tool, with the entire family witnessing it on camera.
Started as pure curiosity.
Yeah. The 23-year-old added that he started using the drugs out of curiosity, and doing so led to his understanding of what ego was for the first time.
It was always in my head talking, telling me what I was and what I wasn't. And for the first time, I had like a ego dissolution where I was like, that was the moment that really changed me. You get to a place in your life where you're blocked by something, whether it's a trauma, whether it's your emotions, your ego, not being able to express yourself. And then I feel like psychedelics are a way to tear down that wall and see what's beyond it. Doing it guided with people that are professionals, I feel like really increases the chances of having that mystical.
In a now infamous episode of Red Table Talk, Jada sat with Jaden and her mother to discuss their use of plant-based hallucinogens. It wasn't framed as a warning but as a spiritual breakthrough. When Jaden mentioned his interest in mushrooms, Jada didn't flinch, she leaned in and actively encouraged it.
You want to do it. This is not play. Yeah. And you got to be really willing to confront some hard stuff.
Yeah.
And it's very healing and it's changed my...
Jada shared her own experience with psychedelics during a low point in her life, describing them as the only thing that helped her climb out of years of depression. Suddenly, this personal practice became part of the family narrative, a new kind of normal. Jaden, still very young, followed her lead. He spoke openly about ego death, emotional breakthroughs, and mystical experiences. It sounded poetic, even inspiring, until you remember who he was, a celebrity kid already under immense pressure, a son caught in the chaos of his parents' marriage, exposed to emotional and mental experiences most people spend a lifetime avoiding, and who was guiding him through it? His mother. When Jaden admits it all started with her, that she was the first in the family to walk through the psychedelic door, it casts a troubling shadow. If your own mother introduces you to something so intense, so consuming, and frames it as healing, where do you find protection? Who draws the line? Now, Jaden is breaking the silence about his family. His revelations aren't just about Justin Bieber, they're about his own upbringing too. He revisits what many suspected but didn't fully confront, how Justin was drawn into Diddy's world as a teenager, a place filled with smoke and mirrors, gifts, and manipulation. What seemed like mentorship was something else entirely, and Jaden's voice is now joining the conversation, connecting the dots between fame, control, and the complicated, sometimes dark influence of adults in his life. This isn't just a story about celebrity, it's about power, exposure, and how young people can be guided, or misled, into experiences far beyond their years, all while the world watches, often unaware.
So do you want to hear? Oh, really? See, my parents never gave me this.
Okay.
So why don't you give me this?
I feel uncomfortable right now.
Oh.
Why do you want to know this from a 15-year-old boy? That's pretty weird.
Everyone assumed Diddy was just a music mentor, but Jaden saw the truth. He witnessed the manipulation, the grooming, and how Justin's boundaries were quietly erased under the guise of guidance. And when it came to himself, he allowed many other celebrities to do the same.
Violated right now.
At first, Jaden told himself it was all part of the industry, that this was just how things worked. But as he grew older, the truth became impossible to ignore. There were far too many red flags.
Hey, young brother, everything's good? Selling out arenas and everything? Starting to act different, huh? You ain't been calling me and hanging out the way we used to hang out.
There were too many moments that didn't feel right. Why was a grown man spending 48 hours straight with a teenage boy? Why was he handing out access to luxury cars and million-dollar homes like candy? Why did it all feel so transactional? Now, Jaden is speaking up about what everyone else was too afraid to say. This wasn't mentorship, it was control. And Justin wasn't the only one caught in it. Jaden recalls being around Diddy as a child, the parties, the conversations, the charged atmosphere. He remembers feeling constantly uneasy, as if he was being watched, evaluated, sized up. And what made it even more unsettling was noticing who Diddy always stood next to, his own father. The realization hit him early on that the dynamics weren't just about guidance, they were about power, influence, and surveillance. Things became confusing for Jaden because it wasn't just Diddy whispering in his ear, it was Will Smith too. Laughing with him, attending parties with him, acting as if their closeness was normal, like nothing was off. But to Jaden, it felt wrong. The boundaries were blurred, and he started questioning everything. Why was Will so close to someone with that kind of energy? Why did he keep bringing Diddy around? Why did it seem like his father knew what was happening but didn't care, or worse, didn't want to stop it? Jaden describes the relationship between Will and Diddy as uncomfortably close, always private, always off the radar. And when the cameras were off, it got even stranger. He recalls feeling like he was being passed between them, not literally handed off, but emotionally sidelined, watched, controlled, and handled. At the time, he didn't have the words to describe it. He just knew he didn't feel safe. Now, as footage resurfaces, lawsuits are filed, and more names emerge, Jaden is starting to see the bigger picture. This wasn't merely bad parenting or Hollywood chaos. It was a system, one his dad may have helped protect. A system that nearly swallowed Justin. Jaden recalls how things got so extreme that Justin was breaking down under the pressure of what his father and Puff subjected him to. And only now, looking back, does Jaden fully grasp how calculated and pervasive that world really was.
The greatest stress.
His blunders were public. In 2014, the young star's behavior triggering multiple tabloid-filled run-ins with the law, including a DUI arrest.
Many others have also come forward to speak out about what Diddy subjected Justin to.
And they used to bring him back to the bench. They was bringing those young girls to Diddy, his own sons. And that's an inside fact. There's gonna be a lot more lawsuits come out, bro. A lot more lawsuits. There's gonna be a lot more things to come. Watch after this trial and he gets his time. There's gonna be a lot of other things come out.
Gene Deal.
And now, finally, Jaden is speaking out. Not just for himself. Not just for Justin. But for every kid who was pulled into something they never signed up for, every young star handed over to the wrong people by the very adults who were supposed to protect them. Because it wasn't only Diddy causing the damage. It was the silence around him that allowed it to happen. And then there's Clive Davis, a name rarely spoken aloud but central to the story. Jaden describes Clive as the architect, the man who built the rooms everyone wanted access to. The figure behind the curtain, holding the keys to fame, fortune, and silence. And Diddy? One of his most loyal students. Whatever Clive taught him, Diddy mastered it, how to own people, erase them, and turn rising stars into puppets, all under the guise of business. Jaden witnessed it firsthand with Justin, a bright, hopeful kid suddenly surrounded, isolated, and controlled. Diddy offered him cars, homes, and access, but none of it was free. Jaden saw the transformation, the spark in Justin dimming, pulling away, shutting off piece by piece as if someone had flipped a switch. Now, Jaden connects the dots. The men once called mentors were actually architects of destruction, handing out contracts like shackles, masking control as opportunity, passing kids between them like projects that he emphasizes. It wasn't a coincidence that he and Justin both ended up under Diddy's influence. It was strategy, grooming disguised as guidance, silence traded for success. And when kids finally break free, the system tries to erase them, paint them as unstable. But Jaden isn't unstable. He's awake that Diddy's decades-long survival amid scandal isn't about talent or luck. It's about protection, and at the center of that shield sits Clive Davis. Clive isn't just a music executive, he's a gatekeeper who shaped the blueprint for who thrives and who disappears. Many believe Clive opened doors for Diddy early on and taught him how to wield power untouchably, not threatened by lawsuits, media scrutiny, or public outrage. This isn't about one man, it's about a structure built on loyalty, silence, and manipulation. Clive Davis is a shield that has kept Diddy insulated. Voices like Jaguar Wright describe how Diddy was introduced to circles where darker forces operate, where trafficking, manipulation, and ritual are rumored to exist just beneath the surface of fame. Access wasn't earned through talent, but through compliance and silence. That's how the system works. If you want power, you first have to serve it, and now, Jaden is calling it out, showing how mentorship can be a guise for control, how contracts can act like chains, and how fame can be wielded as a tool to shape, manipulate, and silence young talent. It's a world where protection and influence decide everything, and the true architects often remain invisible, their impact hidden until someone like Jaden starts connecting the dots.
Nobody want to talk about why R. Kelly's bus was parked in Clive Davis's driveway, why his tour bus was parked in Clive Davis's driveway at the house where it went down between Chris and Rihanna. Don't nobody want to talk about why it was filled with video girls who were being...
Justin Bieber, in his own way, has started speaking out as well. He's described being surrounded by people who professed love while doing nothing to protect him. He's hinted at a system that turns vulnerable kids into products, discarding them when they're no longer useful. And he's made it clear, this wasn't accidental. It was allowed, orchestrated, and shielded, protected from the very top of the industry.
A lot of people have been questioning, well, she doesn't really know him. She has no knowledge of him. She doesn't have a picture with him. I'm smarter than Claudia Jordan. I would never take a picture with the devil. Everyone knew he was the devil. He's been the devil for 30 years.
According to both Jaguar Wright and comedian Cat Williams, Diddy isn't just a celebrity playing the mogul role. He's a facilitator, a recruiter, someone who has used his access and influence to pull others into the same traps he survived. Cat didn't hesitate to name figures like Will Smith, Steve Harvey, and others as part of a larger network that profits from keeping the truth buried. Even Mel Gibson has echoed similar warnings. Long before Sound of Freedom came out, he gave interviews raising red flags about Hollywood, describing it as a place where demons wear designer suits and everyone smiles while the real horrors happen behind closed doors. Now, with renewed attention on his older statements, people are connecting the dots between Gibson's warnings, Wright's testimony, Bieber's trauma, and the industry's network of silence protecting figures like Diddy. At the heart of it is a disturbing pattern. Diddy didn't just survive the industry, he was shaped and groomed by it. Now he uses the same system to shape others. Artists under his label have been shelved, discarded, or destroyed. Promising careers suffocated, talent buried, and culture warped in the pursuit of profit over principle. The real horror isn't just what Diddy did, it's who enabled it. The industry rarely looks in the mirror. Accountability is praised publicly, but few examine the roles of Clive Davis, the executives behind the scenes, and the celebrated figures, Will, Puffy, and others, who caused immense damage. Jaden Smith has made it clear he doesn't respect that system. He's openly preferred Tupac over his father, tweeted about dating Tyler, the creator, and expressed honesty his father could never match. Growing up in a home where secrecy was the foundation, he saw a father who could rage at him for openness while allegedly hiding a double life behind a Hollywood smile and curated image. Tupac and Diddy were longtime enemies, and Jada Pinkett Smith's deep connection to Tupac created tension in the Smith household. Even Oprah got Will to admit he felt threatened by her bond with the late rapper. It's almost poetic that Will gravitated toward Diddy, the man most associated with Tupac's downfall. That connection feels less like coincidence and more like an attempt to erase or rewrite a part of Jada's past, a past Will could never live up to. Fans are no longer just speculating. They are connecting the dots. Will and Diddy, the secrecy, the parties, the broken relationships, the young men who left damaged, the immunity, the silence, and the insiders finally speaking out. As Jaden continues peeling back the layers of his family's public persona, the question becomes, how deep does it go? How many more stories are locked behind closed doors, shielded by power, hidden beneath fame's false glow? What started as whispers and rumors now looks far darker, a system that doesn't merely tolerate secrets, it thrives on them. So, what do you think? Comment below and share your thoughts. If you liked this video, hit subscribe and click the bell icon to get notified first. I post weekly updates uncovering the hidden truths behind your favorite celebrities.